My name's Caroline Giegerich. I'm VP AI at Interactive Advertising Bureau, i.e. IAB, and we're going to talk about scaling personalization with AI. Why is this huge frenzy around AI to integrate it, get it into the corporations and organizations? And the reason is because of efficiency. It's all about increasing ROI these days, AI being one of the best ways to decrease time spent and increase efficiency. So if you're an organization, the amount of FOMO right now, looking at other organizations that are scaling AI very quickly, is quite high. And the reason is because you're trying to stay differentiated. You're trying to ensure that your competitive moats as an organization remain strong. And so if you can't get that integration and transformation going on in your organization, but your competitor can, you're now at a significant loss. We all see it every day. There is a new timeline. There's probably, as I'm literally speaking, in the next 10 to 20 seconds, going to be like 3 major headlines of what's going on in AI. And if you are in marketing and advertising, that you simply cannot do your job and stay on top of all of the developments that are happening. So the stress level is very high. In fact, the data is showing this, that the stress level of marketing and advertising executives trying to get their heads around what's going on in AI is through the roof. So what I always tell organizations to do is take a step back. Rather than thinking about the 20 emails you got from AI companies trying to do something with your organization, think about the biggest challenges that your organization is trying to solve for. What's the number one most intense challenge your organization has? What is the most frequent challenge? And then the last number 3 question to ask is, how many people does it impact? And then you'll be able to sort out what are the things that AI can attack that would be particularly relevant for your organization. So I have worked to create at the IAB the AI personalization playbook. And the first reason I'll say is before IAB, I was a long-term marketer, 20 years at different brands. So I come at it with the perspective of how do I solve the challenges in the industry? There are 5 main key takeaways in this playbook. Number 1, personalization helps increase ROI. We talk about what we were thinking about earlier, how do you leapfrog the competition and increase your ROI? This is going to help you do that, and the data doesn't lie. Yum brands saw double-digit increases when they were conducting personalization tests that then led to increased purchases. Number 2, there are 3 key elements that we looked at in this playbook. Human-centered AI. We're not looking to replace human beings. We're looking to amplify human creativity with AI. We have to think about cross-functional integration, and that's multifaceted. Within an organization, you're going to have marketing, creative, legal, data, all having to orchestrate together. That's incredibly difficult. One of the things that people talk about AI helping with is these orchestration challenges. But then you've got another thing, the external challenge. If you were in a media agency, you have to work with the creative agency and the brand, and they all have to work in parallel. So that's another thing to think about. Very important. And then the last piece of that 3 is risk-tiered governance. What do I mean? Well, there's a very different risk profile if you're thinking about a social asset that's running on Instagram or TikTok, right? Even the longevity of that asset will be less versus a television commercial will have like a higher degree of risk. So even as you think about automated versus human review, you're going to think about it differently. In this playbook, one of the things that we focused on was cohort-based personalization. So what I mean by that is not one-to-one, so, to you, to the other people in this room, but cohort-based. And the reason for that was organizations today typically do not have the data implementation layer to be able to truly go one-to-one personalization. The tech platforms typically do, but if you look at what are these companies, the brands, advertisers, the agencies capable of doing, they're just not there. Another thing to think about is organizational readiness. I always say, if you take a broken thing and you put AI on it, it's not like putting some hot sauce on it. It doesn't make it better. It actually exacerbates the problem. And you could see that in data. If your data is ready for true personalization, it's going to exacerbate that and make it worse. If your organization has organizational challenges, same thing. So the last step of that process would be thinking about your organizational readiness and making sure that before you try to use AI to scale, that you got your house clean. And the very last one is that we broke this down into briefing. How do you brief for AI personalization? Building, how do you actually execute? And benchmarking, how do you measure all of this and then optimize in process to make sure you're really scaling and making your creative as relevant as possible. What advice would I give to different platforms that are building at this sort of core of this human AI integration? And how do we not get wrapped into a little bit of the shiny button? One of the things we did in the playbook that I really enjoyed, philosophically speaking, is we broke down a chart of what AI does really well and what humans do really well. Some people think that AI can replace humans in everything, and I am not one of those people. Specifically in creativity, AI isn't great, and I'll explain why. It's a predictive model, so it's predicting the next word in a line, and for anyone who's worked in the creative industry, remixing the world of things is not where true creativity comes from. You may get to a remix of a current recipe or a remix of a current song, which could be very good depending on the song. But true creativity is something, if you think about where did Squid Games come from? Out of somebody's brain. And so the creativity, the strategy, that's where companies should be thinking about, well, where's the human in this? So how do we, exemplify and empower? The AI is very good at taking millions of data points and condensing it down, because we as humans are not good at that. We just can't put our mind over that many insights. So if that's, audience trends, the AI can look at way more than we can. So thinking about that, what does AI do really well? What does humans do really well? And how do we create something that sort of leverages that? And then I think you would also stay away from let's make sure it's not shiny button, but really effective.